that from his house to the bar takes him 10 minutes. And from the bar to his house takes him 45 minutes. He says the difference is staggering. I'll pause. Some of you will get that a little later on. When you lie down in the bed to sleep, it will come to you. A little humor. But yeah, some people out there, they've gotten it. So we want to continue. We want to welcome you if you're here for the first time this evening. Yes, Kimlan, you've gotten it as well. If you are here for the first time this evening, we want to welcome you. This is what we do. This is the Live Right family. And we are under the Live Right ministry. God has birthed this ministry. We celebrate 3 years. We celebrated it yesterday, but we are celebrating for the entire month of May, our 3-year anniversary. We give God thanks and we give God praise. And we're going to have some things coming up this month just to continue the celebration. The celebration is to say to God, thank you. The celebration is to say to each other, thank you for being a part of this family. So we're going to continue to celebrate in the month of May. And every year, as long as God wills and we're here, we're going to celebrate in the month of May. And one of the reasons why we are celebrating as well in the month of May is okay, thank you so much, Judah, for adjusting my camera. Yeah, one of the reasons why we are celebrating, a couple of reasons, right? One is that every year we're going to have our Family and Fun Day in the month of May. So that is going to be a date. Of course, we're going to choose which day it is, but every year we're going to have our Family Fun Day in the month of May. We're going to, of course, to celebrate the anniversary on the 1st of May. And First Lady's birthday is in May. And I suspect there's some other birthdays in May too, based on something I saw today. But First Lady's birthday is on the 25th of May, 2 days before our celebration, our Family Fun Day. So that's one of the reasons why I want us to celebrate the anniversary in May as well. And just to let you know that this year coming up, we have some things we haven't planned yet, and there are 2 things we have planned. And I want to tell you now, next week, one of the days of next week, most likely Tuesday, we're going to be having a special guest with us. You're going to see the flyer. And this person, I'm not going to say who it is as yet because we haven't confirmed the date. The person has confirmed that they will be here, but I just don't want to give out that name just yet. It's someone that you would all know, and I'm sure you'll be pleased. I am sure you will be pleased that this person is coming in to minister to us. The person was supposed to be here tonight. This is the night I wanted the person to minister, but they couldn't make it this week. So I'm not going to call the name, but we're going to have a very special person next week. And then the following week on the 18th, I can say that one because that has been confirmed. Thursday the 18th, we're going to have Apostle Dr. Michelle Modest with us on Thursday the 18th of May. And she's going to be sharing with us. This is all part of our celebration. All right. The other person I'm not going to give you until we confirm the days. One day next week. But I just want to be sure that we confirm that, and then most likely you're going to see the flyer, or by tomorrow night, I'll be able to tell you. So those are 2 things that we have happening, and of course our Family and Fun Day on the 27th. Looking forward to it. The examples are coming out, and you all are doing well. You're doing fine. Continue, and well, let's move on. So let's get to ministry this evening. Excuse me. Sorry. We have been talking about the attributes of God. The question really is, who am I? That's what we're looking at. That's the first thing we're looking at, the main thing. Who am I? And we're looking at who we are. And we are seeing one of the things that we have recognized and we understand is that we are like God. We are like God. No matter, even though the Satan told Eve, listen, if you eat of the tree, you'll be like God, knowing good and evil. The point is she was already like God and she didn't realize it. So we are like God. And if we are like God, if we know who God is, then we know who we are. So we're looking at the different attributes of God. And one of the last thing, or the last thing that we looked at, is that God is merciful, He's gracious, and He is forgiving. God is forgiving. And so we ought to forgive. And there are many verses that tell us about being forgiven. And we did, I played a video for you last week about two gentlemen, one who wronged the other one. One was a policeman, and he wronged, and he had another gentleman thrown into prison. And the gentleman was innocent. He didn't do anything. And he spent 3 years, well, he was sentenced to 10 years. He spent 3 years in prison. And then he was released because the same policeman that sent him to prison was arrested. And their paths crossed after when they came out of prison. And long story short, today they're friends. They're traveling all over and preaching the message of forgiveness. And I was asking, could you do that? Could you do that to somebody who has wronged you? Someone who has made you lose time, because time is life. 3 years is a long time. That's 36 months. I haven't counted the days, but that's a long time. And especially when he had a child that he didn't see, and he was going to see his child for the first time, and that was taken away from him. And he had every reason to be bitter, to be angry. And what we discovered last week is that a number of us have reason to be bitter, and we are bitter because of something that has happened to us. Somebody who has wronged us, someone who did something to us in our past, either the recent past or the distant past. All of us have been in that position at one time or the other where somebody did something to us that is so hard to forgive. And we started sharing last week, and I really am sorry that we had to stop where we stopped last week, because I think people were really getting into it, and some emotions were being stirred up. And I want to continue this week because forgiveness is such an important thing for us. The power of forgiveness. Forgiveness is so powerful, but it's difficult. It is challenging for us. And maybe we could pick it up by asking the question. And as I said, we've been down this road before, but we're going to go down this road again. So we're going to ask the question, why is it sometimes so hard to forgive when it is so necessary? It is such a part of our existence as believers in Jesus Christ. If it is so important, why is it so hard? Why is it so difficult? And I'm going to ask you to give me some reason, but I want to propose to you a couple of them, and then I'm going to rest and allow you to tell me, and I want you to draw from your own experience. Don't tell me what you think why other people have a problem. I want you to draw from your own experience. And even as I share, if you can identify with it, I want you to put up your hand. They will tell me if your hand is up, because I can't see. They will tell me if your hand is up. But if you can identify, because some of us need to be released from this thing called unforgiveness. Some of us, we want to deal with it, but it is so hard. We don't know how to. So one of the first reasons why it is so hard to forgive is because we feel that if we forgive somebody, people will think that we are soft. And we wonder how it gonna look. How it gonna look for somebody to do me something and I forgive them. And that's not good for my reputation. It makes me look weak. It makes me look weak. Forgiving somebody makes me look weak. And Minister Joshua said something. We were talking a little early on, and he said something that is so true. He said, and I'm putting it in my own words. He said, this is the reason why some people reject Christianity. This is the reason why some people don't want to come to Christ. Because Christianity makes you look weak in their eyes. There are other religions that are, you know, they talk about killing and maiming and doing this and doing that, but we talk about love. We talk about forgiveness. And people don't come to Jesus Christ because, and it's the same reason why the Jews rejected him, because they expected him to come and set up his kingdom, overthrow the Romans, and they would be in power now, and they would, the same thing the Romans did to them, they would be doing to the Romans. And when they realized that his kingdom was not about war and fighting, but about righteousness, peace, and joy, they rejected him. And a lot of people still reject him, and they reject Christianity because they think it makes us soft. How it go look if somebody does something and you forgive them? Nah, that can't be. And a lot of us think that way. But I want to tell you something. It takes strength to forgive. Sometimes it takes, you have to dig deep. Sometimes you have to go to a place that you never went before if you are to release somebody because of what they did. It goes against your natural instinct. It takes more effort to forgive somebody than not to forgive them. When you forgive, you show that you are in control. When you don't forgive, your emotions take over. When you don't forgive, this thing, it's riding you, it's eating away at you. Getting angry is easy. Lashing out is easy. Calling people names is easy. Cursing them sometimes is easy. Or it's easier than to forgive them. But we think it will make us look weak. And not only look weak, but it will make us weak if we forgive. But I want to let you know, you have the power. Remember we said power, and one of these days we're going to go back to that teaching again. Power is the ability to influence. That's what power is. You and I have the power to forgive. It's just that we choose not to. It is your decision. We were built with the capacity to make difficult decisions. We were built with the capacity to make decisions that might go against everybody else. We were built with the capacity to make decisions that go against even our flesh. We have the power to do that. Forgiveness does not make us weak. In fact, forgiveness makes us strong. I want to say that again. Forgiveness, when you forgive somebody, it does not make you weak. It makes you strong. You are in control. You decide to do the difficult thing. As a believer, you have to do the right thing, the difficult thing. Remember, the scripture says that broad is a road that leads to destruction and many find it, and narrow is a road that leads to eternal life, and only few find it. Why? Because only few people choose to be strong. So forgiveness does not make you soft. It makes you strong. I want to share another one, and then I'm going to ask you to respond. The second reason why people find it difficult to forgive, why we find it difficult to forgive, and I'm including myself in it. I'm not exempt. I'm just like you. And it follows from the first one. I call this pride, ego. How could I let somebody do that to me? Who does he think he is? Who does she think she is? Me? They go do that to me and get away with it? They're mad? That's what we think. That is what we sing. And the First Lady was just talking about one of the scripture verses in Matthew 5:38 to 41. Does somebody have that? Could you read that for me quickly, please, if somebody got that? Matthew chapter 5:38 to 41.
Sister Sylvia.
Anybody read it? Matthew 5:38 to 41.
Sorry, I didn't put on my mic. Sorry. Yeah. The law of Moses says, if a man goes out another's eye, he must pay with his own. If a tooth got knocked out the tooth of the one who did it. But I say, don't resist violence. If you are slapped on one cheek, turn the other too. If you are ordered to court and your shirt is taken from you, give your coat too. If the military demand that you carry their cord, go a mile, carry it too.
Thank you.
That's it. You're
Thank
welcome.
you. This is one of the challenging verses in scripture. First Lady mentioned it earlier. You have heard it said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. But he said, don't resist, don't resist. If somebody slaps you on the right cheek, turn to him the left also. And what does that mean? Allow people to beat you up? Allow people to walk over you? It didn't mean that. Even as First Lady said, there are times when you have to defend yourself. But what it means adopt a position of humility. Adopt a position. Don't fight back. You see, one person can't have a fight. If you respond, that's when the fight starts. But you see, we live in a world where everybody wants to stand up for their rights. You have no right to hit me. Everybody wants to stand up for their right. It's a personal thing. It's a me thing. You can't slap me and get away with it. No way, Jose. You remember last year, for those of you who were here for the 3 days or 3-day fast, and I shared something in the 3 days called these 3 things. Jesus says, deny yourself, pick up your cross and follow me. The first thing he said was deny yourself. If we are believers, we have to know how to deny ourselves. We have to know that the focus of attention is not always me. It's about others. It's about the person out there, even the person who treats us bad, even the person who does wrong thing to us. We have to be able to deny ourselves. You can't deny yourself if you're always getting offended. You're not denying yourself if everything is about me and what they did to me and how could they do this to me. That's not denying yourself. Listen, you know how much things people have said about my family? Ask First Lady. We have heard about things that have been said about this family, my family, the Richards family. Sometime the other day, somebody sent me a text telling me, don't worry about it. You know, it will get better. And something. And I'm thinking, why would he send me something like that? And then I realized it's because of what he had heard. Because other people have said things too that made me realize, and in the same circle, and I realized, oh, so they're saying things about my family. And I could have been, but I was offended. But I could have gone and pick up the phone and call or send messages and say, look, it's not so. But it's not about me. I can't be offended by that. They could say what they want. Let them, that's their problem. You remember what First Lady was sharing just now? Our fight is not against flesh. Our fight is not against flesh and blood. And many times the enemy deceives us to think is the person who slaps us is our enemy. That's not our enemy. Our enemy is the devil, Satan. We have to be able to look past the person and see. She gave us the example with the phone. There's a saying, and I think I shared it here already, that says, let me see if I get it right. If the bull only knew that his enemy was not that red piece of cloth, the bullfighter wouldn't stand a chance. So you all understand that? Have you ever seen bullfighting, where the bullfighter take this red cloth and the bull is only charging it? Because he thinks, because he's tantalizing him with this cloth. Somebody's mic is open. He's tantalizing him with this cloth. If the bull only knew that the problem was not the cloth, but the person who was putting the cloth in front of them, then the person, he would focus his attention on the bullfighter and deal with him. But we don't understand. So our pride is bruised and our ego is bruised, and so we want to get back at the person, and we can't forgive them for what they did to us. Our pride and our ego. So the first thing is that people think that we are soft. How we go look to others, and then to us, he must do that to me, and Don't you know who I am? And even some of us as believers, you know, I'm a child of the King. I'm taking that. And you know, when I was small, growing up around certain people of a certain religion, I won't say what it is, I go put 2 prayers on your head. I go down on my knees for you. Yeah, go down on your knees for them, but pray for them. But how many of you ever heard that? So I want to pause here, and I want us to give me some feedback based on what you've heard. Has this ever happened to you? Do you feel like that? Do you feel that the person who wronged you had no right to do that? And because they have no right to that, you can't forgive them. And we ought to be real. Huh? If we are to get past this thing about unforgiveness, we have to be real. We cannot pretend that everything is okay. We cannot pretend that everything is okay and expect it to be better. We have to be real. So I pause here from a short while. Let me hear from you. Let me get some feedback. Any responses?
Yes, Dr. Richard. Sister Christine, hand is up.
Go ahead, Sister Christine.
Hello, good night, everyone.
Hi.
This is a hard subject, yeah? But the point is, I've been beaten, I've been raped, then married to the same person, dragged to the abortionist a couple of times. I end up being a murderer, willingly and unwillingly. And to forgive that person was real hard, right? And then I grew up in a Christian home. So I had also cooled down a lot and start to pray and seek God. And while I was fasting and seeking God, the Spirit told me, say, one of the greatest sin that you could commit is unforgiveness. You could be a good person, but you cannot see my face with unforgiveness in your heart. Right? So I was to back down and cool down and think. Right? Ask for forgiveness. I have to forgive myself first. And then forgive me because I haven't told them anything because I don't speak to them. I'm divorced from that person about 40 years now. I said run for my life, grab my son, hide, run for my life, right? When my last son heard about it, I never told him anything. But when he heard about it, right, his aunt told him what really happening. And he never forgave his father. He died now, and he died about 3 years now, and he haven't forgiven him for what he did to me, right? Locking me in house, starving me, and stuff like that, right? I never told him that. But what hurt me the most is that he died without forgiveness, because I'm my big son now, and I tell him, I say, you have to forgive him, right? You have to forgive him, right? Because it will hurt you. You won't see God's face. It will hurt me, right? And you have a daughter, right? My sister-in-law, which is my aunt, was family's cousin, first cousin I'm talking about. She tell me to have keep away my granddaughter from him because he's a rapist. So I'm not the first person. But the forgiving part was real hard. I mean, real hard, real hard. It hurt. It hurt, right? You get in licks at 2x4. He said anything, you have to run for your life. You have cutlass dragging on the company until they come out and kill you. And I have to forgive that. It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy at all, Pastor. It wasn't easy, right?
Yeah.
And for me to have peace, because I got sick, right? For me to have peace and I could sleep in the nighttime, I have to forgive him and then forgive myself. Ask God for forgiveness to forgive my own self, for me to get a peaceful resting night, right? I used to get anxiety attack, right? I got a stroke because of that hate, right? So I understand when you talk about forgiveness. Unforgiveness is a sin, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's a sin. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you so much for
Wow.
sharing.
Wow. Dr.
Yes.
Richard, we have one comment in the chat. From my experience, Marissa says it was hard because of the many damages and hurt that it had caused me. And what made it even more harder for me, when I started to speak up about what had happened to me, no one believed.
Yeah. And that is one of the challenges you have. But you see, let me say this again. Unforgiveness ties you to that event or the events. It ties you to your past. It keeps you there. If you want to move forward, you have to release. Now, forgiving is not an easy thing. It's not just saying, I release you, I forgive you. As we said before, and I'm going to say it again, forgiveness is sometimes a process. And you have to walk that road. You have to walk the process. And it takes you from day to day to day. But you have to be determined that you want to walk that road. You have to say to yourself, I will not be held back, because it's a weight that you're carrying. And it's most of the time it's an invisible weight, because nobody can see it except they see it on your face, because you might be depressed and dejected, you're angry all the time, and that's how it manifests itself. And most times we need, when it's the simple things, what I call simple things, you can do it on your own. But a lot of times you need help to walk that road. You need somebody to walk with you. You need community support. And that's why we're doing this now. Because many of us have not learned to forgive. We have not forgotten. We have not let go of that thing. So it still affects us today. And it passes from one generation to the next, to the next, to the next. And we affect other people. And so we have got to find a way to release that grip that we're holding on to. The person thing is not holding on to us. No, we are holding on to it, not realizing that it's hurting us. The story of the snake that wrapped around this sword. And he tried to squeeze his sword. And the more he tried to squeeze his sword, more blood coming out of him, and he ended up killing himself because he didn't want to let go of this sword, this snake that wrapped himself around this sword. Not realizing that the thing that he was holding on to, and he was squeezing, he was killing himself. And this is what a lot of us do when we don't forgive. And some of us, forgiveness is something that you have to learn. And that is why one of the first things is talking about it. That's why we're here. That's why we have this forum. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about that situation. Let's talk about what happened in the past. Because if we don't let go of it, it is still in our present, and we will take it into our future. And we will tell it to our children, and they will take it on too. And they, as you just heard, and we will carry that unforgiveness from generation to generation, and we'll spread it. And it affects not just us and our children, but it affects the people around us, because we're angry, we're resentful, we're not functioning properly, and that affects the people around you, your co-workers, your siblings, your spouse, everybody. There are people who are married now, and they're having problems in their marriage because of something that happened to them long time ago. Some people know, and some people don't know, and they don't know why. They don't know why they can't be intimate with their spouse. Maybe because they got raped or interfered with when they were small. They don't know how to relate. They don't know how to talk. They don't know how to express love. They don't know how to do certain things because of something that happened. And we have to be able to go back and release it. So let's talk. Let's talk. And let me just say this, and it's another reason why we don't forgive people. It's because we feel that we're letting them off the hook. We feel when we forgive somebody, we tell them, well, it's all right. What they did to me was all right. That is not true. Forgiving somebody doesn't, remember we talk about mercy? Forgiveness doesn't always mean mercy, you know. Ask David, King David. God forgave him, but you see, judgment came in his house for generations. Look at Paul. I mean, it was only 3 days. He was blind, but he was blind. God forgave him. When we forgive people, we are saying to God, God, you take over, you deal with it. We are releasing we're freeing the hand of God. And one of the things that we were discussing today, you know, First Lady and I, is that we need to understand that God says, vengeance is mine, I will repay. When we decide to exact payment or punishment to somebody, when we decide to punish somebody for what they did to us or children or somebody that we know, God says, vengeance is mine, I will repay. If you take vengeance, then you're robbing God. Because he said, vengeance belongs to me. If you take something that belongs to somebody, isn't that stealing? So you're stealing from God. God said, I will deal with it. I will take care of it, but I cannot take care of it if you want to take care of it. I cannot do anything if you want to do something about it. So what we do is say, we turn to God, you take a back seat, I go handle this. I will deal with him. I will deal with her. You know, in the natural world, even lawyers, when they're accused, you know, they don't defend themselves. They get another lawyer to defend them. They don't take things in their own hand. They allow somebody else to deal with whatever it is that they're accused of. There's a saying, any man who is his own lawyer has a fool for a client. Put it in the hand of God. Don't handle it yourself. Do
We have
not.
a hand up, Dr. Richards.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Marissa.
Hey, good night. Listening to, Dr. Richards speaking on this topic. And, one of the things that really had caused me actually for years before I had gotten healed from this, my hurt, I was going down a really dangerous road in the sense of maths for me wasn't maths. It was like checking on my fingers how long it would take me before I could actually move out of my mother's house. And what had really caused a lot of more hurt other than when I started to speak out about what had happened, other than people believing what I was saying, I had opened up to 2 persons. And, it really had hurt me to the point where it almost broke me because I was being blamed for it. And I mean I was only 8 years old when it all started, and that really had mashed me up in pieces. And I was really, really going down a rough road. I started to lash out on a lot of people, even when I had made give birth to my children and they started to get older and older, I was lashing out on them as well. And there's where, I started to get my healing when I started to give it over to God and stuff. And I had to cry it out, was one of the things I had to do. Um, and I realized that, I wasted a lot of time behind holding on to not forgiving, and I today I could say that I am healed, I am free from it, thank God. I even got the opportunity to even ask, even ask one of my abusers, because it's not one, but it's a few. Well, and the reply was really kind of, it really kind of hit me and had me thinking as well. When I asked the person, I said, why me? I was only a child. Why you choose to come at me? What make you do it? And his response was, he was at that point, he was vulnerable. He didn't know what to do. So, he had choose me, but today I could say thank God, because I am able to forgive him. I had to, because every time we end up in the same situation, the same space, I that hate used to come out, that anger used to come out, and one day I say, you know what, I cannot do this no more. I cannot always be in the same room with this person and continue to hate him and have that hate in my heart towards him. And I just had to forgive him. So I thank God for the healing process. Was not easy. It was pretty tough, because during the healing process, I thought at first I thought I had forgiven the person, by telling myself, yeah, what I forgive this person, and the person was not in my presence, and every time I saw the person, I was just hating this person. But when I saw the one of them, I was able to say, here, what I forgive you for what you have done, and today I could say that I could relate with anybody else without feeling that hurt, without feeling that anger, without feeling emotional, so I thank God for, the healing process.
Amen. Thank you. And one of the things we would
Dr.
want
Richards, we have, sorry.
let me just say this. One of the things we want to do, I understand something at people. We are not taking whatever happened to you lightly. We are not saying that, that's a long time ago, forget about it. That's not what we're saying. We are saying that we have to get to the place where we can release it. And you see, this is part, or what we're doing here is part of the process. So as you hear people testify about them going through that, it will give you strength. It will give you strength to start your own journey or to continue on that journey to forgiveness. That's what we're doing. Go ahead, First Lady.
Yes, Dr. Richard. So I got a private message sent to me, and the person says that I am a divorcee, and for years I hated, and I mean hated, my ex for what he did to me. During the 21 days of fast, God helped me, and I really forgive him because I thought I had. But it was years, and just as Pastor just said, vengeance is mine. So I finally released that burden and let God deal with him. Reginald, hand is up.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Good night to everyone. Dr. Richards, Pastor Nicola, the elders and other members of this Live Right family. I must say thank you all very much for your prayers and support. I was successful in the surgery. During the surgery, I felt no pain whatsoever, and, I was actually praying because they didn't put me to sleep. They didn't from my waist downwards. And I was watching above and I could actually see part of the surgery, what they're doing in my body, right? But so thank God. Let God bless you all richly for all those who prayed for me and for speedy recovery. Now, what I want to say concerning unforgiveness. I remember reading a book on unforgiveness, and this book helped me dramatically because, for years I always struggled with unforgiveness. And this book actually helped me to forgive, right? the author was saying, if Joseph didn't forgive his brother, he would have kept back the hands of God. God wouldn't have been able to move to him in such a mighty way. Because remember, one Pharaoh had this dream. He called his chief magicians and all the wise men of Egypt. None of them could have interpreted the dream. But Joseph, he interpreted the baker dream and the butler dream, and everything came to pass. So one Pharaoh got this dream, and they told him about this Hebrew in jail who could interpret dream. Pharaoh called him, and Joseph was able to interpret Pharaoh's dream, as a result of which he became the governor of Egypt. So this is a question here. If Joseph didn't forgive his brother, look how we would have kept back the hands of God in such a great way. Because remember, when Joseph was governor, he was in charge of, storing the grain. And if it wasn't for that, the world would have starved. Egypt would have starved. The world would have starved. Because remember, it was 7 years of plenty, 7 years of famine. So it's so important, very, very important it is to forgive. You literally keep back the hands of God when you cease to forgive. If we read the story of Joseph in the Bible, So that was such a great illustration. And then I also read where a lot of people were not healed because of unforgiveness. And soon as they
Hello? Okay, what's happening? Pastor Nicole?
Oh, hello, sorry, I didn't notice it.
Yes, it's me.
It was unmuted by mistake. After where we all heard, and I spoke so long.
Yeah, we heard most of what you said.
Up to the part
You
when
heard
something with
most of what I
unforgiveness
heard.
and healing, something with healing and unforgiveness. That's where you reached.
You didn't hear the one with unforgiveness and healing. No, the one with unforgiveness and healing, they said a lot of people were not healed because they refused to forgive. And as soon as they forgive those people who offended them, they got their healing right away. Right?
Thank you.
It's
Thank
so
you so much.
important to forgive. You actually literally keep back the hands of God from making God do his work. As I said, the story of Joseph. If you read the story of Joseph, it's so important. Very, very important it is to forgive. Right. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else before we close off?
Yes, Dr. Richards, Elder Sherry.
Elder Sherry, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to make it fast. My brother and I were not speaking for a while, because I didn't lie for him for some reason. But as a result of that, he just kind of locked off everybody, including my mother, right? And my mother she passed away in 2020. And my brother never called during the time that he heard she had a stroke and thing. And I knew my mother had 3 children. My sister passed away a few years ago in 2004. And so, my brother and I was all she had. And I knew my mother died from grief as well because of, she kept saying, I have one son and he wouldn't call me. And all of that is because he was so angry. And he had this thing that he used to lock off. But my brother didn't grow with my mother. So in my understanding and having, as a matter of fact, when I came into this ministry, we were dealing with this topic, forgiveness. Mm-hmm. And my brother called. I don't know if you'll recall, one night I had to message in and said, I will come on a little late. My brother called because I think I had mentioned it. Mm-hmm. And he called. And up to that point, I too had some resentment, understanding that but I'm a person, I let go. But I knew that I still had some resentment. But he called timely because we were dealing with this topic. And my response when he called, I don't think he expected that response. So, which was very calm and casual and whatever. And to this date, I have never raised the issue of the fact that, when my mother needed him and all of that. But I know he would make some state pronouncements. Now, my brother and I since then have become even closer than we were before, right? To the point of he's sending all kind of things for me now because he is concerned about my health and all of that. But, you know, I know that he is still dealing with forgiving himself, because he'll make certain pronouncements. And I will tell him, the thing about my mother is my mother was full of love. So she never had him in her mind or anything like that. But she did hurt a lot, you know. But the thing is for him now to release, as a matter of fact, I had given him the link to come into the Kingdom Study and he had agreed, but he never came, right? But I know that he is carrying a lot, because for him, he did not do what he was supposed to do in reaching out, you know. So the thing about it is when we have the opportunity, because we don't know how long we have, what time we have, you know, and we have a lot of hurt. I have a lot of things that I could have carried, but thank God I know how to let go, you know, and let God. And it's something that we have to, and especially as children of God, and knowing that we want to see God, we want to seek, this journey must not be in vain, you know, and we really have to press into first, you know, confronting it, because it's like any other thing, like addiction and stuff. If you don't face it head on, you will carry it for a longer time. So you need to, you know, just come to the terms that you have this a problem, and then we can proceed in letting go. But to let go, we have to learn how to let go, because if we don't, God can't give us the forgiveness that we desire. All right. So it's something that it's really a deep, deep, deep thing, Dr. Richards. And I know for a lot of people, I mean, I listen to Sister Christine, and a natural person could say, there's no way I can forgive that. But when you go closer to God, as we are learning to live right, we have to learn how to let go.
Amen. Amen. Thank you. Thank you, Alice Sherry. And so I want you all to know that you're not alone. Even though whatever happened to you may have happened to you alone, it may have happened at a time when you were most vulnerable. It may have happened a long time ago, but it still hurts. You're not alone today. We're here with you, and we're on this journey with you. And because we understand how important forgiveness is, we're going to help, we're going to walk you through it, we're going to walk with you. But the first thing is to acknowledge that you're hurt, acknowledge you're hurt, to acknowledge that something happened, and we want to help you to learn to let it go, as Elder Sherry was just saying. We have to, and I know letting go is not easy, especially when you've been deeply hurt, especially when you've been hurt by people that you trusted and people that you loved, especially when you're hurt by people who the last thing you would have expected was for them to do what they did, and they did it to you. And it pains you till today. Even as we are talking about it, it's coming back. But I firmly believe God is allowing us to talk about this now so that we can deal with those pains, we can deal with those hurts. He wants to free us. The Bible says, who the Son set free is free indeed. We want to be free indeed. A lot of us are walking around with grave clothes. Remember when Jesus raised Lazarus from the dead, he was alive, but he was still wrapped up in grave clothes. And Jesus told his disciples to loose him. We want to loose some people today. Deliverance has to come to a lot of us. I can't emphasize it enough. This is so important for us as believers. We have to learn to let go. We have to learn to move forward. So over the time, I don't usually do that. I'm so sorry. But I understand how important this topic is, and we'll continue tomorrow evening. Have a wonderful night tonight. I trust that. Come prepared to share. When we come tomorrow, please God, come prepared to share. Share, you see, talking is therapy. Talking helps you. It's not that we want to know your business, but talking helps. That's why I do that program called Mentor. Talking is therapy. It's going to help you. Talk about it, even if you have to cry about it, even if you have to break down. We are a family of love, and we will love you through this thing. Okay, so God bless you. Have a wonderful night. I love you dearly. My family loves you. First Lady, close off, please.
Thank you, Dr. Richards.